My phone screen lit up at 11:51 p.m. It was a group text from my mother. Susan. The message read, after careful consideration, "Your father and I have agreed. You are no longer a part of this family. We will inform the guests of the wedding's postponement in the morning." A few seconds later, a small heart icon appeared next to the message. My sister, Jessica, had loved it. I didn't cry. I didn't text back why. I didn't even stand up. I just opened my laptop. The glow of the screen lit up my face in the dark apartment. My first click was to the Aspen Grove Lodge's vendor portal. Contract number 8G12. Total event cost $150,000. I navigated to the cancellation clause. Non-refundable deposit, $25,000. I clicked Confirm Cancellation. An email popped up almost instantly. We are sorry to see you go. Your event has been canceled. $25,000. Gone. I didn't care. My second click was to the shared spreadsheet I'd created for the vendors. Florist. Caterer. The string quartet. I sent a single templated email to all three. Event 8G12 has been canceled by the primary client. Please cease all preparations immediately. My third click was to my American Express portal. I scrolled down to authorized users. My sister, Jessica. Status active. I clicked freeze card. A pop-up asked, "Are you sure?" I clicked confirm. Her primary source of income for her influencer lifestyle. Gone. My final click was my bank, the joint savings account I shared with my father for the Aspen project. I hit transfer funds. I moved every cent from that joint account into a new private one that only I controlled. I looked at the clock on my laptop. 12:03 a.m. In 12 minutes, I had financially erased the single biggest social event my family had ever tried to host. You might think that was cruel. You might think I was heartless. But you have to understand, I wasn't just Rachel, the successful architect daughter. For the last decade, I had been the silent, uncredited investor in Family Incorporated. My father, Robert. I loved to play the part of the powerful Aspen property developer. But 3 years ago, when his precious Aspen Grove Lodge project was on the verge of foreclosure, when the bank was days away from seizing the land, who do you think got the panicked 3 a.m. phone call? And who do you think quietly paid the property tax bills to keep the project alive? It wasn't his name on the wire transfer. It was mine. And my sister, Jessica, when she decided to follow her passion and become an influencer, which apparently involved amassing $45,000 in credit card debt trying to look rich. Who do you think paid it off? Who cleaned up her financial mess so my parents wouldn't have to face the embarrassment? Me. I did. It was the classic family dynamic. I've read about it since. It has a name, the scapegoat and the golden child. I was the scapegoat. The responsible one. The reliable one. The one whose success was just expected. My achievements were simply contributions to the family's reputation. My job was to be the invisible support beam, holding the entire precarious structure up. Jessica. She was the golden child. Beautiful. Charming. Volatile. Her failures were always a learning experience. Her debts were just a little setback. Her tantrums were passion. I paid the bills. She got the Instagram photos. This wedding, this whole $150,000 spectacle, it was never for me. It wasn't about me and Michael. It was a business transaction for my father, a 300-person gala designed to impress the city council members and private investors he needed for his next big development deal. I wasn't the bride. I was the centerpiece. The proof that his family was perfect. So when they sent that 11:51 p.m. text, they didn't just disown a daughter. They fired their primary investor. And I was simply balancing the ledger at 7 a.m. My phone started to explode. The first text was from Jessica. "What the hell did you do? My Amex is declined. You are being completely over the top. Mom didn't mean it like that. You always do this. You always make everything about you." Me. Make everything about me. The person they had just exiled via text message. A second later, a message from my mother. "Susan, Rachel, I cannot believe what you have done. You have created an absolute mess. The florist is calling me. The lodge is threatening legal action. You have embarrassed this family. Call me immediately." Embarrassed. Not. Rachel. Are you okay? Not. What happened, but. You embarrassed us. I didn't reply to either of them. Then my fiancé, Michael, forwarded me a screenshot. It was from the official Aspen Grove Community Facebook group. My father, Robert, had posted it just moments ago. It is a sad day when a parent's love and sacrifice is forgotten. We've given our children everything. And it's heartbreaking when one of them forgets who raised them. We are praying for our daughter, Rachel, and hope she finds her way back from this difficult moment. I stared at that post. And the last bit of emotional fog cleared. The anger didn't feel hot, it felt clinical. I finally understood. They weren't sorry. They weren't remorseful. They were just furious that their perfect facade had cracked. This is the core of the narcissist's playbook. My father's post wasn't about me. It wasn't about family or love or prayer. It was damage control. His reputation, his image as the perfect patriarch, the successful developer, the city councilman. That was his entire identity. For people like my parents, the image isn't just important. The image is all there is. My postponed wedding wasn't a personal tragedy for him. It was a direct threat to his next big business deal. His investors and political allies were all supposed to be at that reception, witnessing his power, his perfect family. My humiliation wasn't the problem. My refusal to be humiliated quietly was the problem. They hadn't disowned a daughter. They had created a public relations crisis, and I was about to escalate it from a crisis to a catastrophe. I took a deep breath. The anger wasn't hot anymore. It was cold. It was precise. Michael was sitting next to me on the sofa, his own laptop open. He hadn't asked me to calm down. He hadn't told me I was overreacting. He just looked at me, his eyes firm, and said, "I'm with you. Ratch. 100%. What's the plan?" I didn't want to be angry. I wanted to be effective. I want it all back. I said, the words tasting strange and clean in my mouth. Every cent I ever poured into that family. I didn't call my mother back. I didn't reply to Jessica. I called Michael's best friend, Emily. Emily wasn't just a friend. She was a notoriously sharp financial attorney. The kind of person you hire when you want to win, not just fight. I got right to the point. "Emily, I need to hire you. My family and I are really separating. Financially." I explained the situation. The 11:51 p.m. text, the cancellations, the long history of me being the family bank. She was silent for a moment. And then I heard the unmistakable sound of her keyboard. "Okay. Rachel, they don't see you as family. That's fine. We won't either. From this moment on, you are a creditor. What's the first move?" "Two things," I said. feeling the pressure in my chest ease with every word. First, I want a formal demand letter sent to Jessica Montgomery for the $45,000 of credit card debt I paid on her behalf. I want a repayment plan initiated within 30 days. Or we move to collections. Easy, Emily said. Done. Second, I continued, this one is bigger. I'm a partner on a joint business account with my father, Robert Montgomery. For the Aspen Grove Lodge project, I've been investing in it for 3 years to keep it solvent. I want a full, forensic audit of that account. I want to know where every single dollar has gone. And I want you to begin the formal process of reclaiming my investment. Got it, Emily said. I'll start the paperwork. You'll have the demand letter for your sister by noon? I hung up and looked at Michael. He was already deep in his own laptop, his analyst brain firing on all cylinders. He had my login for the joint project account. Rach, he said, his voice quiet and focused. You were right to call Emily. I'm looking at the account ledger right now. The inflows from you are clear. 20,000 here. 50,000 there. He paused, squinting at the screen. What is it? I asked. A new kind of dread settling in. There are irregularities. He started clicking faster, opening new tabs. There are some very large withdrawals. Really large. Going to LLCs I don't recognize. He turned the laptop to face me. This isn't just a family dispute anymore, Rachel. This is something else. This looks like a legal battle. The fight had changed. It wasn't about feelings or hurt or who loved who more. It was about the numbers, and numbers don't lie. 3 days passed. 3 days of silence. I didn't contact them. They didn't contact me. Though I saw my father's praying for my daughter post had gotten over 200 sympathy likes in the community group. Then, on Friday afternoon, Emily called. Her voice was different. The calm, professional lawyer tone was gone. It was replaced by something else. Something cold. Rachel, she said. This is bigger than debt. A lot bigger. I sat down. What did you find? Michael was right to flag those withdrawals. I've been digging into the project account. 6 weeks ago, there was a wire transfer. For $500,000? My blood ran cold. What I never authorized that. I know, Emily said, her voice flat. I'm looking at the digital authorization right now. It's a forgery. Rachel, a clear, amateurish forgery of your electronic signature. Someone moved $500,000 out of your joint account and tried to make it look like you signed off on it. $500,000. This wasn't just a family dispute anymore. This wasn't about hurt feelings or wedding drama. This was a federal crime. Michael yelled from the other room. I found it. The receiving account, it's a shell LLC, Callahan Ventures. LLC. I almost dropped the phone. Emily. Are you sure? 100%. Callahan Ventures. Why? Do you know it? I felt sick. Michael. Who owns Callahan Ventures? Michael was already typing. His face grim. He didn't even have to look for long. It was public record. It's him. Mark Callahan. Mark Callahan. My father's single biggest business rival. The man who had been trying to bankrupt my father's company and buy up his land for a decade. Why was my father's rival? Or someone using my signature? Wiring him $500,000. It made no sense. Hold on, Michael whispered, his eyes wide. He clicked another link. then another. He'd moved from financial databases to social media. Too deep. Tagged photos. On Instagram. Oh my God. He breathed. He spun the laptop around. It wasn't a financial report. It was a small, obscure real estate blog from a neighboring county. A society page section. There was a photo, grainy and dark, from a party 2 weeks ago. It was Jessica kissing Mark Callahan. The caption underneath read, "A big congratulations to Aspen's newest power couple, Jessica Montgomery and Callahan Ventures CEO Mark Callahan. On their secret engagement. It all clicked into place. In one horrifying, devastating moment. This wasn't about sibling rivalry. This wasn't about Jessica being jealous of my wedding. This was a coup. Jessica and my father's worst enemy were working together. They were siphoning money from the company to bleed it dry. So Mark could buy it for pennies on the dollar. The forged signature, the $500,000, it was just one piece of their plan to destroy my father's empire from the inside. And that 11:51 p.m. text message that you are no longer part of the family text, it wasn't an emotional outburst. It was a business decision. They needed to get rid of me. I was the only other person with access to the accounts. The only person who would spot the forgery. They weren't just disowning a daughter. They were eliminating a witness before the body was even cold. 2 weeks passed. 2 weeks of Emily and her team building a case, so ironclad it was waterproof. Instead of a honeymoon, I was signing affidavits. Then, the knock came. It wasn't a polite tap. It was a frantic, desperate pounding on my apartment door. I looked through the peephole. It was them. Robert and Susan. They looked shattered. My mother, who never left the house without perfect hair, looked like she hadn't slept in days. My father, the proud, immovable Robert Montgomery, looked a decade older. His face a mask of gray panic. I opened the door. Susan practically fell into the room, her hands grasping at me. Rachel, thank God. Thank God. You have to do something. My father stumbled in behind her. Rachel, please. He begged, his voice hoarse. I just stood there, leaning against the doorframe. I didn't move. I didn't offer them a seat. He's destroying us, Susan whispered, her voice cracking. That monster? Mark Callahan. He's staging a hostile takeover. He's using that money. The $500,000. I said. It wasn't a question. Yes, Robert choked out. He's threatening to go to the DA. He says, unless I hand over all my controlling shares in the company, he's going to have me put in prison for fraud. For the transfer he made me set up. And Jessica? Susan sobbed, finally collapsing onto my entryway floor. Our baby. She confessed everything. He used her. Rachel. He manipulated her. Told her he loved her. He promised her the entire company. And he just used her to get to your father. So, the golden child was just another pawn. Rachel, please. My father grabbed my arm. It was the first time he touched me voluntarily in, I couldn't remember how long. You're an investor. You're on the account. You can stop this. You're the only one who can. Just tell them you authorized the loan. Tell them it was all a misunderstanding. Save your sister, please. Rachel. Save Jessica. They were asking me to commit a felony. To lie to federal investigators. To save the very people who had forged my name, kicked me out of the family, and left me to dry. To save the sister who had hearted my execution, I looked at my father's hand gripping my arm until he slowly let go. I didn't say anything. I just walked over to my desk, where a single, thick manila envelope was waiting. I'd been waiting for this moment. I walked back and handed it to him. What? What is this? Susan asked, wiping her eyes. I can't stop, Mark Callahan, I said. My voice was perfectly level, perfectly calm. I can't lie and say I authorized that loan. Why not? Susan shrieked, scrambling to her feet. After everything we've done for you. Why not? Because, I said, tapping the envelope in my father's trembling hand. As the primary investor who was defrauded, I filed my own motion this morning. That is a copy of my emergency petition for asset forfeiture. I'm forcing the court to liquidate the entire Aspen Grove Lodge project. I'm forcing a court-ordered auction of all assets. Their faces, the color just evaporated. Robert's mouth opened, but no sound came out. He just stared at the document. You're... Susan stammered, her hand over her heart. You're destroying us. You're destroying your own family. Your sister. I looked her right in the eye. The last, tiny, lingering ember of fear I ever had of her just went cold. No, I said, you and Robert already did that. With a text message at 11:51 p.m. I stepped back and held the door open. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just collecting what's mine. My father dropped the envelope. The papers scattered across the floor. He just stared at me. This man, who had spent 30 years looking right through me. He finally saw me now. Goodbye, Susan. Goodbye, Robert. I gently closed the door, shutting it on their stunned, horrified faces. And for the first time, I felt the lock click firmly into place. 6 months later, the Aspen Grove Lodge was sold at a court-ordered auction. It was messy, but with a forged signature and a clear criminal conspiracy. My case was airtight. After the creditors were paid, my full investment plus damages was wired directly to my new account. Emily, true to her word, had pursued the criminal charges. With my testimony, Mark Callahan and my sister, Jessica, were both facing a grand jury for conspiracy to commit wire fraud. I sat in my new office. It was smaller than my father's, but the sign on the glass door read Sterling Architecture. And it was all mine. On my desktop, a folder I'd kept Aspen Grove Lodge. It was full of old blueprints, tax documents, and the painful history of my investment. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I dragged the folder to the trash icon, and I emptied the trash. On my desk, there was a new picture frame. It was just me and Michael. On a beach in Mexico. No guests. No parents. No drama. He was holding me. And I was sketching in a notebook the first designs for my own company's first building. That night, I went to sleep without setting an alarm. And for the first time in as long as I could remember, I slept all the way through until morning. No guilt. No noise. Just quiet.